హలో వినిపిస్తుందండి ఇప్పుడు?
ఇప్పుడు బాగుంది.
ఒక టేబుల్, I want to know the table is present in which table space, whether it's present in users table space or it is present in any other table space. So which view will give me that information?
DB underscore objects.
DB underscore objects will give me what is the object type, but it will not give you the table space in which the object is present. The reason is the DB underscore objects will have the information about all the objects, but if you look at the table space will have tables and indexes or LOBs.
Okay.
Apart from that, any other objects will not consume any space. So DB underscore tables is the view which will give you the information about tables. I mean, like, they are present in which table space. So let us go ahead and check it out. Select table underscore name, table space underscore name from DB underscore tables, where table underscore name equal to emp underscore temp underscore partition. I want to look at this table. I want to know in which table space this table is present.
Okay.
If you see here, the table space name is null. The reason for that is emp underscore temp underscore partition is a partition table. So you cannot check that in DB underscore tables. You have to check the partition. Each partition can be in each table space. So if you look at the table space, I mean, like, if you look at the partition table creation, for each and every partition you can mention in which table space the partition should be in. So when you're looking about partition tables, you have to look it in DB underscore tab underscore partitions. Okay, so if you look at this one, the partition, there are three partitions for this table, P1, P2 and P3. All the partitions are present in single table space, which is users table space. So if it is a non-partition table, you have to look it in DB underscore tables. If it is a partition table, you have to look it in DB underscore tab underscore partitions. Okay. Now what I want to do is, like, I want to create a table space called as users1. So let me go ahead and create that table space. So create table space users1 data file. I want to create that under slash oracle because I don't have sufficient space under slash database. If you look at slash database, there is only 269 MB free space. So I want to create a data file with a bigger size, so I cannot go for slash database. So I'll create it under slash oracle.
ఒక చిన్న డౌట్ అండి. ఇప్పుడు ఈ మౌంట్ డేటాబేస్ మౌంట్ పాయింట్ కి మనకి సపోజ్ రీడ్ రైట్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ పర్మిషన్స్ ఉన్నాయో చెక్ చేయడానికి ls మైనస్ ఎల్టీఆర్
లేదండి, నేను మీకు చెప్పాను యాక్చువల్గా. లేదు, ls మైనస్ ఎల్టీఆర్ డైరెక్ట్ నేమ్ ఇస్తే ఏమవుతుందంటే ఇట్ విల్ గివ్ యూ ద పర్మిషన్స్ ఆఫ్ సబ్ ఫోల్డర్స్, సబ్ డైరెక్టరీస్. సో ఇక్కడ చూస్తే మీకు దాంట్లో లోపల డైరెక్టరీస్ పర్మిషన్స్ ఇస్తుంది. ఇట్ విల్ నాట్ షో యూ ద పర్మిషన్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ డైరెక్టరీ. If you want to know the permissions of the directory itself, you have to use ls minus ld. ఇది చెప్పాను నేను మీకు.
చెప్పారు, బట్
సో డైరెక్టరీ పర్మిషన్ చూడాలంటే మాత్రం you have to use d option combining with l.
ఒకటి కొంచెం సర్వీస్ ఇచ్చింది. థ్యాంక్స్ అండి.
So I'll go ahead and create a table space called as users1 and the data file will be present in Oracle. So the file name, I'll give it as users1_01.dbf. It's better to follow this naming convention, the table space name underscore the file number. This is the first file which belongs to this table space. So I'm giving it as underscore 01. Size, I'll make it as 500 MB. Semicolon enter. So if I give this statement and just do semicolon enter, what will be the extent management for this table?
Create a instance.
Will it be a local or a data dictionary or a dictionary managed table?
Default is local.
Why the default is local?
Instance.
It will depend upon system table space. If the system table space is created with locally managed table space, the default will be locally managed table space.
Okay.
And what will be the segment space management? So the default value for the segment space management is auto. The next thing is what will be how the extents will be allocated, whether it will be a uniform extent allocation or it will be an auto extent allocation.
Auto extend allocation.
Yeah, the default is auto extent allocation, locally managed table space, and segment space management auto. So by creating a segment auto segment space management table space, if you create PCT free and PCT use, what will happen with the table space? If I'm creating a table, sorry, the table space is segment management for a table space is auto.
Okay.
Now I want to create a table with PCT use as 50 and PCT free as 40 or 30 or 20. Okay, I'll make it as 30. So what will happen? Whether these values will be taken into consideration or not.
Auto means it won't consider these values.
Yes, correct. Okay. So now I have this table space created. I know the table emp underscore temp underscore partition is present in users table space, correct? So I want to move this entire table into a different table space, which is called as users1. So I'm moving a table space from, I'm moving a table from one table space to another table space. So to do that, the command will be alter table name, which is emp underscore temp underscore partition move users1. Okay. Scott.amp. I logged in as this user, so it will not know by specifying the table name itself. So I have to go for Scott dot. Okay. So if it is a non-partition table, this is the command to move a table from one table space to another table space. Alter table name, move table space name. So it will move the table from users table space to users1 table space. But as this is a partition table, I cannot move the whole table at once. You have to go for partition by partition. So alter table Scott dot emp underscore temp underscore partition move no partition space p1 move table space users one. 1 second, let me check it out. I forgot it actually. Okay. Alter table table name. Move partition space p1 table space users 1. So these are we have to move a partition from one table space to another table space. Now it errored out because the Scott user has no privilege on users one table space. So I have to grant quota on users one table space. Alter users Scott quota. I'll give it as unlimited on users one. So by giving unlimited quota, he can use how much of space available in users one. For example, users one has 500 MB of free space. He can use that 500 MB of space. Unlimited means he cannot use beyond that because the file size itself is 500 MB. So the maximum size he can be used will be 500 MB.
Okay.
Okay. In a similar way, I'll move another the rest of the partitions also P2 and P3. C slash P1 slash P2. Okay. So now if I look at that partition table, I mean like if I look at this table, it will be present in users one table space. Sorry. Okay. So if you look at it is present in users one table space. So this is how we'll be moving a table or a partition from one table space to another table space. Okay. These also called as table reorganization. So if anyone asks you what is table reorg, moving a table from one table space to another table space is nothing but a reorg. Okay. Now I'll exit from here. I will invoke expdp space user. Okay. Expdp space dump file equal to exp underscore scott underscore partition dot dmp space log file equal to exp underscore part dot log directory equal to expdp underscore dp. Now here I'll show you how to export a partition. So yesterday we saw how to export a schema, how to export a database, how to export a table, or how to export an object, and we saw how to export just the metadata or just data. So these are the options which we saw yesterday. Now I'll show you how to export a partition. So if you see here, I have a table called as emp underscore temp underscore partition. Within this table, I have three partitions, P1, P2 and P3. Now I want to know how many rows present in each partition. So which command will give me the number of rows in each partition? Do you remember it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll show you. Okay, forget about partition table. If I want to know the number of rows in a table, which command will give me the number of rows in a table?
Select count star from table.
Yeah, so select count of star from emp underscore temp underscore partition. So this will give me the total number of rows in the table. Now I want to know how many rows present in each partition. So I have to go for partition space and then P1.
Yeah, okay.
So if you look at this one, it has almost around 3,93,000 rows. In a similar way, if I want to go for P2, there are around 6 lakh rows. In P3, maybe there are 0 rows. Yeah, 0 rows. So I want to export one partition, P2. I don't want to export all the partitions. I just want to export one partition. The reason for that is if you take a real-time example, for example, in the production you will have a bigger table. So usually most of the tables will be partition tables. So if you have a table, if you have a partition table of around 500 GB and users want to perform a test on that object, so you have to copy the content from production to the lower environment. సో మీరు ఆ డేటా కాపీ చేస్తేనే యూజర్స్ టెస్ట్ చేయొచ్చు అనమాట, ఆ డేటా కరెక్ట్గా ఉందా లేదా వాళ్ళకి. సో ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ కాపీయింగ్ ది ఎంటైర్ 500 GB ఫ్రమ్ ప్రొడక్షన్ టు ది లోవర్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్, విల్ కాపీ సబ్సెట్ ఆఫ్ డేటా. సో 500 GB స్పేస్ లోవర్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్లో ఉండదు, ఎందుకంటే ద ప్రొడక్షన్ రిసోర్సెస్ ఆర్ విల్ బీ ఆన్ ద హైయర్ సైడ్ అండ్ ద లోవర్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ టెస్టింగ్ కానీ డెవలప్మెంట్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్స్ ఉంటే దాంట్లో స్పేస్ చాలా తక్కువ ఉంటుంది డిస్క్లో. So you cannot copy the entire 500 GB from production to the lower environment. So what we'll do is like we'll export the latest partitions from this production database and we'll import it into the lower environment such that users can do testing. So here I'm taking this as an example and I want to export only one partition, P2. So in order to export just one partition, we will use the option tables. Tables equal to owner name dot table name. So the owner here is Scott dot, the table name is emp underscore temp underscore partition colon partition name. I want to export P2, so I have to give P2.
Okay.
So tables equal to Scott dot emp dot temp underscore partition colon P2. So I'm not specifying any schemas clause here because in the tables itself you can mention who is the owner of the table. So tables equal to owner name dot table name. You cannot mention that in the include clause. Include is equal to object type colon object name. You cannot have owner name dot object name there. So that is the reason why you have to go for schemas. But here if you are using tables option, you don't need to specify the schema name. Sorry, if you are using tables option, you have to specify the schema name. So you don't need to specify the schemas clause. Okay. Slash s is to be. So it will only export one partition P2. Okay. So if you look at the output here, it says it exported partition P2 only. It hasn't exported P1 or P3. It just exported P2 and around 6 lakh rows. Okay. This is how we can export a specific partition.
Okay.
సో ఇలా ఇస్తాం టేబుల్స్ క్లాస్ ఇక్కడ ఇలా యూస్ చేస్తాం అనమాట. ఏదైనా పార్టీషన్ మీరు ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేయాలనుకున్నప్పుడు టేబుల్స్ ఈక్వల్ టు ఓనర్ నేమ్ డాట్ టేబుల్ నేమ్ కాలన్ పార్టీషన్ నేమ్. If you want to export the table itself, you can go for scott.emp underscore temp underscore partition, or else you can have include equal to object type table colon in emp underscore temp underscore partition. You can use either of these options if you want to export a table. But if you want to export a procedure or function, you don't have this option procedure equal to procedure name or function equal to function name. In that case you have to use include only. Only for tables you have both the options. Clear?
Yeah.
Next, you can also export a specific set of data. For example, if I take select distinct emp number from emp underscore temp. Okay, మన ప్రొఫైల్ సెట్ అయింది కదా.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are almost 16 distinct emp numbers in emp underscore temp table. Within this table I want to export the employees with employee number 7839 and 7844. Just I want to export the employees with employee number 7839 and 7844. So let us go ahead and check how many employees are there with that specific number. How can I check that? I want to check how many employees are present in emp underscore temp table with emp number 7839 and 7844.
Select count star from.
Okay, select. I'll add emp number also. Yeah.
Okay.
From emp underscore
Table
temp.
name, yeah.
Okay. After that,
where emp number in two numbers you can use.
7839 comma 7844.
Yeah.
Antena group by wala.
emp number, yeah, group by emp number.
Okay. So if you see, 7839 has 2,62,000 rows and 7844 also has 2,62,000 rows. So I want to export on the whole 5,20,000 some rows. So I want to export the employees with employee number 7839 and 7844. So I'll show you how to extract subset of data from the table. So to do that, we'll use an option query. We have to specify tables equal to table name first, scott.emp underscore temp. After that, you have to specify query equal to, one second, చాలా MCC. Okay, you have to go for query equal to bracket open object name, which is scott.emp underscore temp colon. You have to specify the filter criteria here. I want to go for the employees who belong to 7839 and 7844. So here within a single double quotes you have to specify where emp number in 7839 comma 7844. ఈ బ్రాకెట్స్ ఎందుకు ఇస్తున్నా అంటే, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇఫ్ యూఆర్ ఎక్స్పోర్టింగ్ 2 or more tables, ఇన్ దట్ కేస్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు యూస్ కమా అండ్ దెన్ యూ కెన్ కంటిన్యూ ఫర్ ద సెకండ్ టేబుల్ ఆల్సో. సో అందుకని ఈ బ్రేసెస్ ఉంటాయి అన్నమాట. So these are we can extract a subset of data from the table. So let us go ahead and use this option also. Okay. Subset. Okay. And remember, ordering of this option doesn't matter. You can mention anywhere. For example, if you see here, the query, I mentioned it before, specifying tables. The order doesn't matter. Okay. So this will export only subset of data from emp underscore temp table with employees belonging to 7839 and 7844. Okay, 1 second. So somewhere it went wrong. Correct in there. Okay, I'll just remove the brace here. Okay. So these are we have to export a subset of data. Query equal to owner name dot object name colon, and then within the double quotes you have to mention where emp number n. So this is nothing but we are filtering the data from emp underscore temp table. So you have to mention the where clause here. And remember, you cannot do order by. You cannot join two tables. When using the query option, you cannot join two tables. You can only filter only one table. And you cannot also use order by clause. Just you can use where clause. Specified. Okay. And one more thing, you don't need to specify the tables option. You can just specify query is equal to owner name dot object name. That's it. You don't need to specify the table's name. Because in the query option itself, you are specifying the table name. Data filter subquery has already been specified. Query equal to owner name dot table name column. Correct in it. Okay. So if you don't know about this error, just Google it. Or else you can also use OERR tool. So whenever you install Oracle software, you'll get a tool called as OERR. And for OERR, you have to give the Oracle error number. So OERR space, this is an Oracle error. So give it as ORA space 39001. This will give you the description related to the Oracle error. So if you see here, the user specified API parameters of wrong type or value range. Subsequent messages supplied by dbms underscore datapump get status will further describe the error. So there is some problem with the argument itself. We have to look at that one. So score.em underscore. ఎప్పుడైనా ఎర్రర్ నెంబర్ మీకు ఎర్రర్ డిస్క్రిప్షన్ కావాలంటే యూ హ్యావ్ టు యూస్ ఓఈఆర్ఆర్.
Okay.
ఓకే.
లేకపోతే ఒకటి చూడండి డిపార్ట్మెంట్, ఐ మీన్ ఈఎంపీ నంబర్ ఈక్వల్ టు.
యా అదే, కానీ 783 ఇది వర్క్ అవుతుందండి, కానీ 2 వాల్యూస్కి చూసిన యాక్చువల్గా.
ఓకే.
ఇది వర్క్ అవ్వలేదా? ఓకే. వేర్ ఈఎంపీ నెంబర్ specify. I'll specify those options here, and then I'll save and exit the file. So any options, all the options which you want to specify, you'll specify in the par file, and then you'll invoke expdp using that par file. So expdp space par file equal to expdp underscore scott underscore filter dot par. That's it. Okay. This is how we can use par file. So this is how a par file option works. So all the options you want to specify to export, you'll specify in a file, and then you'll give it as an input to par file option. ls minus ntr xvd minus scott. Okay. S capital ఇచ్చాను, అందుకే ఎర్రర్ అవుట్ అయింది. It's small. Okay. Unable to open the log file. Directory expdp underscore dp is invalid. Yeah, expdp underscore dp అది. సో ఇక్కడ వర్క్ అవుతుందండి. యాక్చువల్ నేను ఎప్పుడు పార్ఫెల్లోనే ఇస్తాను. నాకు తెలిసి ఆ డబుల్ కోట్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా, ఆ డబుల్ కోట్స్ యూనిక్స్ లో డిఫరెంట్ మీనింగ్ ఉంది అనుకుంటా. యా. సో ఐ గాట్ 5,24,000 rows. So that is what constitutes 7839 7844, right? So I got that many rows. If I look at the total count, it will be in large number. Okay, so it is around 41 lakh rows. So out of 41 lakh rows, we exported only 5,20,000 rows. So to specify the filter criteria, we use query equal to owner name dot table name colon, and then within the double quotes we'll specify where emp number in, and then the values. So these are the options you have to specify: user id, directory, dump file, log file. Tables also you have to specify. Tables equal to owner name dot table name, and then query equal to. If you have multiple tables to perform the filter criteria, with the query you have to use brace, and then you can add one more table with comma as a delimiter.
అప్పుడు సెకండ్ టేబుల్ కూడా ఇక్కడ మెన్షన్ చేయాలండి టేబుల్స్ లో.
యా, టేబుల్స్ లో సెకండ్ టేబుల్ కూడా మెన్షన్ చేయాలి. చూపిస్తాను చూడండి. సో టేబుల్స్ ఈక్వల్ టు scott dot emp comma scott dot emp. I'm going for emp now. Comma I have to use a brace scott dot emp colon where EMP number in, I want to go for only 7839 here. Let me reuse the dump file also. Oh, it will error out anyway. Okay. So I'll use the option reuse underscore dump file equal to y, because the dump file is already existing. I want to overwrite it. I guess it's reuse underscore dump underscore file. No, reuse underscore dump files. Okay. So this will export both the tables.
Okay.
Okay. So if you look at EMP table, it exported only one row.
Mhm.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
The last option is to export a table space. నిన్న మర్చిపోయిన ఆప్షన్స్ ఇవే పార్ ఫైల్ క్వెరీ టేబుల్స్ టేబుల్ స్పేస్ యా సో ఐల్ షో యూ హౌ టు ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ టేబుల్ స్పేస్ so by preparing a par file it is always advantageous like you can know like you can reuse the par file again if you want to perform the same task again and again you can reuse a par file sometimes the history will not be working so you cannot use the upper arrow so you can use a par file which is already present in this directory so I'll just create another file expdp underscore table space dot par. Okay, here I don't need the tables clause and query clause. I'll just specify table space equal to users. Just I want to export one table space which is users. Table spaces. అబ్బా కాపీ చేసి మళ్ళీ టైప్ చేయాలి so this will export all the objects which are present in that table space irrespective of the schema.
Yeah.
స్పేస్ ఉందో చూద్దాం ఒకసారి స్లాష్ బ్యాకప్ as 1.2 GB okay very good Okay, done. So it copied emp temp all the tables except emp underscore temp underscore partition. The reason for that was emp underscore temp underscore partition is present in users one table space. So if you're going for a table space export, it is not a schema specific. So whatever the objects present in the table space, it will export. So if you look at here, the output, it exports COT objects as well as it exported OE objects. So there are 4 more objects under OE schema in users table space. So it exported those objects also.
Okay.
So these are, we can perform a table space export.
మల్టిపుల్ చేయాలంటే ఐ మీన్ పార్ట్ లో 2
కామా ఇచ్చేసి ఇంకో టేబుల్ స్పేస్ నేమ్ ఇవ్వడమే.
ఓకే.
In a similar way, include option lo kuda, if you want to export 2 or 3 object names, you can specify it here itself, comma
ఓకే.
emp. So dump files kuda, if you don't want to go for %u, you can just give dump file equal to exp and exp1.dmp, comma exp2.dmp. If you don't want auto generated ones, you can also give the file names like this.
ఓకే.
Next, ఓకే అండి. సో లాస్ట్ ఆప్షన్ ఏంటంటే ఒక జాబ్కి అటాచ్ అయ్యి స్టాప్ చేయొచ్చు, జాబ్ని రెజ్యూమ్ చేయొచ్చు, కిల్ చేయొచ్చు, అన్ని చేయొచ్చు అనమాట. సో ఐ షో యూ వాట్ ఆర్ ద ఆప్షన్స్ అవైలబుల్ విత్ అటాచ్ ఆప్షన్ నౌ. Under attach option, what are the sub options available? So now I'll go for full database export, full underscore db.dmp space log file equal to exp underscore full underscore db.log directory equal to exp dp underscore dp compression equal to all. Okay, so this will be my job name, sys underscore export underscore schema1. Oh, I haven't specified full equal to y there. Let me cancel it. Okay, so by putting control C, you will kill the job.
Okay.
After that, you'll get just export terminal here. Export command prompt వస్తుంది అన్నమాట ఇక్కడ. Then you can just exit and then enter. So this will exit from the export. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm giving full equal to y. So this will take the full database export. Now, say for example in the real time, the database size is around 1 terabyte. So to take export of 1 terabyte, it will take 10 hours. So you don't want the command or you don't want the export to run it in the foreground, because if you run it in the foreground, you have to be in the office for 10 hours. If you close your laptop, it's gone. The session will be gone and export will be stopped. So you don't want to run it in the foreground. So you want the export job to run it in the background. So in the real time, always you will run export job in the background. So to run an export job in the background, we have to use same command, just mundu nohop anivali. Nohop space at the last you have to append ampersand. So by specifying ampersand, Unix will know the job should run in the background. So to run any job in the Unix, you have to go for ampersand. The reason why I'm using nohop here is, if I run this job on the foreground, you will display, it will display the output on the screen, correct?
Yeah.
So whatever it want to display it on the screen, I want to write it into another file. So by using nohop, the output will be written into a file called as nohop.out. A file with the name nohop.out will be created, and whatever the output of this command, that output will be printed into that file. and that file will present in the current working directory. So it will be present in home Oracle. So once you specify no hub, and then it will stay like that only, you have to press another enter. Remember, you have to press another enter. Now if I do it, okay, the job exited, so there should be some problem with this expdp. So we have to look at the output of nohub.out. That will show you what is the error, because the output will not be displayed on the screen. It will be going into nohub.out. So you have to look at nohub.out. Okay, so it says unexpected end of file encountered while reading input. So let us go ahead and check again. Everything is correct. Okay, yeah. So the problem here was I haven't specified user ID, right? So usually when I run it in the foreground, it will ask you the username and password. But if I'm running it in the background, specifying username and password is must. If you're running an export job in the background, you have to specify username and password. You cannot give input while it is running, because the job will run in the background. You cannot provide input to the current running job. So I'll do one thing. I'll copy this entire options into a par file, and I'll specify the user ID. So options మీరు స్పెసిఫై చేసినప్పుడు it can be on one line, or you can provide each option in one line, each single line. So ఇందాక చూసే మీరు each and every option is specified in each line, or else you can combine all the options into one line. That doesn't matter. User ID equal to /sdba. Now in the background, nohub space expdp space par file equal to par file name. తర్వాత I have to specify ampersand. That's it. So usually if you want to run it in the foreground, you'll specify this command expdp space par file equal to par file name. If you want to run it in the background, you'll append in the beginning you'll add nohub, and in the end you'll append ampersand. That's it. And if you do tail minus nohub.out, it will display everything. Okay, it says unable to create the file. The file is already existing. So let us change the par file. I'll just add database. Okay, I'm running the job again. Okay, tail minus. Okay, now the job is running. This is the job name, sys underscore export underscore full underscore 01. Within the another session, if you see here, I can do controls here. It is nothing, I'm just tailing the output. So that job is still running, ps minus ef grep expdp. If you see, the job is still running, expdp. If you look at the master process, it will be still running, because the job is running in the background. Now if you want to attach to the current running job, you'll go for expdp space attach equal to job name, username, provide the username /sdba, and just do status option. So this will show you the status, how many objects are completed. Total 722 objects within the specification. So it will give you the object type, and within that object type it will show you how many objects are completed and how many total objects are present in that type. If I do status again, probably it would have gone into a different thing. Okay, it is taking some time. Yeah, it's taking some time. Okay, now if you want to kill the job, you can go for kill underscore job. So మీరు బై మిస్టేక్ ఏదైనా ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ జాబ్ రన్ చేశారు, లేదు ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు మాడిఫై ద ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ జాబ్, you have given wrong parameters, or you haven't specified the dump file name correctly, or the directory name you have given a different one. In that case, you want to kill the export job. So to kill the export job, you have to attach to the current running job, and then you have to use kill underscore job. This will kill the export job.
Okay.
Or else you can also do, I'll show you the various options available with it. expdp space help equal to y. Okay, so if you see here, kill underscore job is to kill the job. Next, if you want to add some more files, You can also add one if I think it should not be only one dump file. If I want to add some more dump files, I can add it here. Add underscore file equal to, and I can specify the dump file name expdp underscore full underscore dbase 1.dmp. Like this, you can specify additional dump files. Next, if you want to add the parallelism also, you can go for parallel equal to 4. So this will change the parallelism of the job from from 1 to 4. Let me change parallel equal to 4. Now if I do status, here if you see here the current parallelism is 1, correct? Now if I
Yeah.
do the status, you'll see the parallelism changed to 4. So you can change the parameters by attaching to the current running job. And if you want to exit from the export, you'll just do exit underscore client or just exit. Next, you can also stop the job. So to stop the job, we'll use stop underscore job. Stop underscore job is the option to stop the job. So I'll just stop the job now. Yes. So the job will be stopped. Okay. Now if I look at ps minus ef grep expdp, it's still running, right? expdp is still running here. If I look at the master process, even the master, okay. So if you look at the master process, it's running or not? It's not running. So let us do
Yeah.
ps minus ef grep expdp again. Okay, even the expdp is not running now. So it will take some time to stop the job. So the job is stopped now. Let us go into SQL Plus, select star from db underscore datapump underscore jobs. So you will have the job name and the status, it will show as not running. You'll still have the table. Okay. What was the job name? Okay. So this was the job name. If I do describe space the job name is nothing but a table name, right? Master table name.
Yeah.
So the table will also be still existing. So that means once you stop the job, you can attach to the job again. So exp dp space attach equal to job name slash assist.dpa. Okay, now it says the status is undefined. The reason for that is you stopped the job. As a result, the state is idle. Now, if you want to continue the job again, you can just specify continue underscore job. So this will continue the job again. Okay.
Start underscore job.
Yeah, start underscore job. Okay. Now, if I look at master process, you'll have the master process here. Okay. You got the master process now. You'll have the worker process too. Okay. So the job is running. Now, if I exit from here, what will happen? You'll exit and your expdp will be
Still running.
gone. ఎందుకంటే బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ లో రన్ చేసిన జాబ్ ని మీరు స్టాప్ చేసేసారు ఇందాకే, కరెక్ట్?
Okay.
సో యూ అటాచ్
Yeah.
టు ది కరెంట్ యూ అటాచ్ టు ది స్టాప్ జాబ్ అండ్ దెన్ యూ షుడ్ కంటిన్యూ అండర్స్కోర్ జాబ్. దట్ మీన్స్ you are running the job in the foreground. So once you exit from export, your job will be killed.
Okay.
Now let us go ahead and issue SQL Plus. We'll see what happens. What happened to our job? Select star from db underscore datapump underscore jobs. This time you'll not have the table also because the job itself is exited. So if you do exit from expdp, once you issue continue underscore client and if you issue exit, the job will be killed. Is it clear?
Yeah. ఒక చిన్న డౌట్ అండి, ఇప్పుడు బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ లో రన్ చేస్తుంది జాబ్ కంప్లీట్ అయింది లేదు ఎలా తెలుస్తుంది?
మీకు నో హబ్ డాట్ అవుట్ ఉంది కదండి, నో హబ్ డాట్ అవుట్ లో అన్ని ప్రింట్ అవుతున్నాయి కదా.
ఓకే.
సో యూ కెన్ జస్ట్ డూ tail minus f no hub dot out. If you see here, the job stopped due to fatal error. So the reason was I should control C. I mean exit is nothing but a control C.
ఓకే.
Or else you can go into the directory. You'll have the log file, right? You can check it in the log file.
యా ఓకే.
Okay. So this dump file is not completed. So just remove the file. Clear?
యా.
అన్ని ఆప్షన్స్ కవర్ అండి. ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ ఇది. By this the
ఓకే.
export part is completed. ఇంపార్టెంట్ పార్ట్ ఏంటంటే ఇంపోర్ట్ అండి. సో
ఓకే.
ఇంపోర్ట్ లోనే చాలా ఇష్యూస్ వస్తుంటాయి. ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ ఇస్ స్ట్రేట్ అవే, మనం ఓన్లీ కాపీ చేసినాం అంటే ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేసినాం కాబట్టి యుల్ నాట్ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ ఇష్యూస్. While
ఓకే.
performing import you'll have lot of issues. For example, if you take emp underscore temp underscore partition, that is present in a table space called as users1, correct? Now I extracted that partition from the source. I want to import it into the target. I need to make sure the table space is present in the target. If the table space is not present, it will fail because it will try to create a table in that table space.
ఓకే.
So users one a table space ఉండదు కాబట్టి it will fail out. So there will be lot of issues while performing the import.
ఓకే.
So better ఎప్పుడైనా anytime you are performing an import, better you have to know what is present in the dump file. For example, you know that the Scott schema has been exported using this dump file as Scott schema.
ఓకే.
Okay, but you have to know what are the objects present in the Scott schema and the objects are present in which table space, such that while performing an import on the target side, you can compare whether the table space are present or not. So how can you know? I mean, like, how will you know in which table space the objects are present? So if you want to know that, using the import option, using impdp, you can generate an SQL file. So whatever the content is present in the dump file will be translated into DDL statements and DML statements. So you can look at that SQL file and you can determine the objects are created in the which table space. So it will generate a SQL file, but it will not import onto the target database. It will just generate SQL file. So the first option with the impdp, I'll show you how to generate an SQL file from the existing dump file. Think that you don't have access to the source database. The DB of the source database given you the dump file, and you don't know in which table space the objects are present. So the first step you have to do is you have to generate an SQL file from the existing dump file. To generate an SQL file from the existing dump file, we use impdp utility. The options are almost similar. I'll create a par file first. So what I will do, impdp underscore SQL dot par. Dump file, you have to give the existing dump file name, because using the dump file only you will perform the import. Slash backup. Okay, I'll go for expdp underscore scott.dmp. This export was taken yesterday. So emp underscore temp underscore partition will be present in users table space, as this export was taken yesterday. Log file equal to expdp underscore impdp underscore scott.log. So log file, you can give a new file name because it will write whatever the import job is performing. So it will be a new content. So give it as impdp, because this is output of impdp utility. SQL file is the option to generate SQL file from the existing dump file. SQL file equal to create underscore scott.sql. You can give any name with an extension .sql. I'll just save this file, save this power file, and then I'll run the impdb to generate SQL file from the existing dump file. Okay. It will not import, so it will not take a lot of time. It will just run it in flash of seconds. You can just open the SQL file and you can check it out. So create underscore scott.sql. So this is how an import will perform. First, it will create the user called as Scott. So it will have create user Scott identified by values. So every time, uh, if you remember, I showed you how to generate a DDL for the user. Did I show you?
Yeah, metadata and
Yeah, dimensional metadata. So in that also you'll have the encrypted password. You'll not get the exact password because it's a security violation. So you'll get always encrypted values. And then default tablespace is users, temporary tablespace is temp, profile is demo. So while trying to import Scott schema onto the target, you need to make sure the profile is already existing. If the profile demo is not existing, this create user statement will fail, correct? ఇది కాపీ చేసుకుని అనుకోండి నేను. I'll show you it. I'll set the environment to demo and let me start the database. Okay. So select profile from DB okay. Select distinct profile from DB underscore profiles. This will show me the profiles existing on this database. So if you see here, there is only one profile called as default. Now if I copy this create user statement, instead of Scott, I'll make it as Scott1 because Scott user is already existing. So I'll make it as Scott1. If I execute this statement, what will happen? It will error out saying the profile is not existing. Profile demo. So you need to make sure this profile is existing on the target side. Otherwise your import job will be failed.
Okay.
In a similar way. So first, as part of the import job, it will create the user. After that, it will grant the permissions which are assigned to Scott user. So Scott user has create view privilege. It also have unlimited tablespace quota on user's tablespace. After that, it also have connect role assigned to Scott. Then resource. Then DBA. So when I took the export, Scott user had DBA role, right? So even that, yeah, it has that. And did I told you about resource role?
No.
Okay, so basically, I mean, like there are a lot of roles in the database, but mostly we'll use connect. This will give the create session privilege. Connect will have create session privilege. So this allows the user to make a connection to the database. So role, nothing but a role will have a system privilege and an object privilege, correct? So this connect role has create session privilege. So instead of granting create session privilege to a user, you can also grant connect, meaning same. Because by granting connect also, the user will have create session privilege. The only difference is you are granting the privilege through a role.
Okay.
In a similar way, you have a DBA role. It will have almost all the privileges similar to sysdba, but Let us go ahead and check it out what will happen if I issue shutdown immediate. Let me grant DBA privilege to Scott. Okay, I'm granting DBA privilege to Scott. Okay, I'm connecting to Scott user. Shut immediate. So a DBA privilege will not have startup and shutdown privilege. A DBA role will not have startup and shutdown privilege. Apart from that, he will have all access to all the objects within a database. He can modify the structure, he can input the data into the tables, everything. But he will not have shutdown and startup privileges. Apart from that, he will have all the access. Okay, that is what a DBA role means. He cannot issue shutdown or startup. Then there is another role called as resource. If you want to create a user as a schema, that means if you want the user to create objects like tables, functions, procedures, packages, triggers, everything. So in that case, instead of granting each and every privilege like grant create table to Mohan, grant create view to Mohan, so on. Instead of specifying each and every privilege, you can just grant a resource role to this Mohan. Once you assign resource to any user, he will have all the create object privileges. So if you want to look at what are the privileges assigned to role resource, you'll go for select grantee privilege. I'm interested in the system privileges, so I'll go for db underscore sys underscore privs, where grantee equal to resource. So resource will have create table privilege, create procedure, create trigger, create sequence, everything. Okay, he will not have a create view privilege.
Okay.
So basically a resource role will have all these privileges. So these are the basic 3 roles you need to know. And there is one more thing which is called as select underscore catalog underscore role. This role will give you the privilege to access sys objects. So you can access db underscore objects, db underscore tables, everything. By assigning a select catalog role, you can access sys objects. Let me show you that. I'll connect to sysdba, sysuser. I'll revoke dba privilege from Scott. Okay, now if I connect to Scott user and if I do describe dba underscore tables, it will say table all view does not exist. The reason for that is it cannot access sys objects. Now if I connect to sys user and grant select underscore catalog underscore role to Scott, now he will have access to db underscore objects or db underscore tables. Okay, so select underscore catalog underscore role will give you access to all the sys objects. There is another role called as nothing. Yeah, that's it. So these are the 4 roles you need to know about.
ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ అండర్స్కోర్ ఫుల్ అండర్స్కోర్ డేటాబేస్ రోల్ ఉంది, అది కూడా మనం ఇక్కడ ఇలా గ్రాంట్ చేయొచ్చు.
యా అవునండి, ఏ రోల్ అయినా మీరు గ్రాంట్ చేయాలంటే గ్రాంట్ రోల్ నేమ్ టు యూజర్ నేమ్ చెప్పా కదా ఇది మీకు. యా, సో ఇలాగే గ్రాంట్ చేస్తాం యూజర్ రోల్. రివోక్ చేయాలంటే రివోక్
Yeah.
role name from
From username.
username. So it will assign all those roles: grant, connect, resource, and DBA. DBA was there because I exported this yesterday.
Okay.
After that, it will connect. Okay, it will create the objects. So first it will create all the tables. So create table score.emp underscore temp underscore partition. So it will have all the details like partition P1 values less than 20, partition P2 values less than 30. So it will have all those things. So first it will create the tables in a similar way department. So it will create all the tables. After that it will create indexes. So once the create table is done, it will create the indexes. See here, it is creating the indexes. Not only that, it will also assign the privilege. So once it create the tables, user Siva has insert and select privilege on EMP table. So it will assign this grant also. So when you are performing import on the target database, you need to make sure this Siva user is existing. Otherwise,
Okay.
just this part will be error out, saying that Siva user is not existing. And if you look at the create table command, here you can see what are the table spaces the Scott user is using. So you need to make sure these table space are created or existing on the target database also. So it's always better you generate an SQL file from the existing dump file before performing an import, so that you will have the idea what an actual export, what an actual import will do. వినిపిస్తుందండి?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the insert part it will not show you because of security violations. It will not show you what data it is being inserted. Data చూపిదు. So there will be some encryption formats there. Then
Okay.
it will create the functions, procedures, and packages. The reason why it create tables first, because if it create procedure first itself instead of tables, if the import job create procedure first, what will happen? Do you remember dependencies? DB underscore dependencies you? చెప్పాను నేను మీకు. Okay, see here. For example, if I create a function, okay,
Okay.
within this function I have a select statement. Begin. Sorry. Okay, begin. And in the begin clause, I have select star from EMP. So if it is creating the function instead of creating the tables in the first place, the procedure will be failed because there is no table still existing on the target set, right? So that is the reason why first it has to create the tables, then indexes, after that procedure, functions, and triggers. So IMPDP is intelligent to know what are the dependencies present on each and every object, and according to that, it will import the jobs. It will import the objects.
Okay.
These are all data. You cannot see it. Okay. So using SQL file option, you'll generate SQL file from the existing dump file, and you'll know what are the table spaces you exported, or I mean like what are the schemas you exported, and the schema is using what table spaces and everything. What are the objects present in the schema and everything.
Okay.
Now, so all the export I did it from test database, right?
Yeah.
So now I started demo database. Think demo as a target, and in the real time, the target database will be in a different server. So you have to copy the files from this server to another server. Correct or not?
Yeah.
So you have to use SCP command. I'll do one thing. let me start another server and I'll show you. ఇంకొక 1 hour క్లాస్ తీసుకుంటాను. మీకేం ప్రాబ్లమా? ఆశీష్ నీకేమైనా ప్రాబ్లమా? ఇంకొక 1 hour తీసుకుంటా.
కంటిన్యూస్ అండి, కొంచెం
గ్యాప్ తీసుకున్నా.
అంటే యాక్చువల్లీ ఏంటంటే మార్నింగ్ నుంచి నేను ఇంటే కూర్చొని ఉన్నాను చూస్తా, కొంచెం ఒక హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ అలా.
యా ఓకే ఓకే. సో ఇప్పుడు బ్రేక్ తీసేసుకుందాం మరి అయితే 8కి స్టార్ట్ చేద్దాం మళ్ళీ.
యా
యా ఓకే దెన్. యా సీ ఆఫ్టర్ హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్. Okay, so now I have the dump files on test server. Okay, I have a server called as dev, or I have a server called as test, and within the test server I have a database called as test. On the target server is dev, and the database name is also dev. The database name on the server dev is also called as dev. So this is my source database, and this is my target database. I did an export of Scott user from the source, and the file name is expdp_scott.dmp. Now I have to transfer this file from source to target. Then after that, using the dump file which I copied onto the target server, I have to perform the import onto the dev database. So the first step is we have to transfer the files from source to the target. So to transfer the files, we have to use scp command. So this is the source server which is test. Okay. What is the command to get the IP address of the server?
IF config.
Okay.
So
yeah. Okay. So this is my IP address of the target server. The target server is dev, and the server name is 192.168.1.110. So I have to copy the files from test server to dev server. So this is my test. In order to copy the dump file from one server to another server, we will use SCP. SCP stands for secured copy. So using SCP, we'll copy the files from source to target. So SCP space source file name. After that, we have to give the target IP address, colon, the location where you want to copy the files onto the target server. So on the target server, I want to copy it into the directory called as /backup. That's it. I don't want to copy it into the datapump folder. I just want to copy the files from the source to the target, and in the target the location will be /backup. For the first time it will ask yes or no. Just press yes and then enter. Okay. If you see here, I'm performing SCP as Oracle user. So whenever it is trying to transfer the files from source to the target, it will ask you for the Oracle password. So the Oracle password, you have to specify the Oracle password of the target server, not source. So if you see here, Oracle at the rate that IP address. That means you have to provide the password for Oracle user of target server. Okay. Uh, okay. Keep it as capital S. Should be small s. Okay. Now it will copy the file. It will show you the progress as well as how much time. Once this is 100%, the circuit copy is done. Okay, it's done now. So once this SCB is done, it will give you the prompt back. Now you have to go back to the target server. In slash backup, I'll have my dump file. So I have the file expdb underscore scott.dmb. Now using this dump file, I have to import into the target server. So the first thing I have to look at is, I know the Scott schema is present in this dump file. So I have to connect to this systb. I'll connect to the database. Okay, let me set the environment to dev. Okay, select. If I want to know whether the Scott user is existing on the database or not, so I have to look it in db underscore users view. Select
users.
So the Scott user is already existing on the target server. So it's your call now. Do you want to drop the existing schema and copy it, what you got from the source, or you want to append it to the existing schema? So what you want me to do?
We'll drop the existing one and we'll create new one.
Okay, I'll drop the existing one. Yeah, I'll drop the existing one. So I haven't shown you how to drop the user, I guess. Did I show it? Okay, to drop the user, the command will be drop user username. But if the user has some objects, then you cannot issue drop user username. You have to go for cascade. So using cascade, it will drop the user as well as the objects present under that user. If it is just a user, you can go ahead and you can go ahead and drop the user using drop user username. If the user has objects, then you have to go for drop user username cascade. Okay, no those. Exit. Okay, if you look at the first 10 lines or first 20 lines of the dump file, the job name is scott.sys underscore export underscore schema underscore 01. That means the job is executed as Scott user. expdb job is executed as Scott user. If the same job would have been executed as sys user, the job name would have been sys underscore export underscore schema underscore 01. So by looking at the first line, you will know as which user the export has been done. So as Scott user, the export has been done. But while performing the import, it is not necessary that you need to perform the import as Scott user. You can do it as any other user. The only thing is you have to require imp underscore full underscore database role. Now I'll perform the import as this user. So I'll make a par file like impdp underscore scott dot par user id equal to /sysdba dump file equal to xpdp underscore scott dot dmp. Okay, so what should be the directory name? So we have to look what are the directories existing on the target server. So select
Yeah.
start from db underscore directories. Okay, I have a lot of directories here. Okay, I have a directory name called as datapump underscore dir. Don't confuse with the default one. Or default one is data underscore pump underscore dir. Okay, so this is data pump underscore dir. So I will use this directory name. Remember, the directory name need not be same whatever you give on the source side. So you have to give the directory which is existing on the target database. Okay, and under slash backup only I have the dump files. So I'm good with it. expdp underscore scott.dmp is present under slash backup, and slash backup is the logic. I mean, like the alias name for slash backup is data underscore dir. So it's good, and I don't need to specify schemas equal to Scott. The reason for that is the dump file will have the master table, and master table will already know what are the schemas present in the dump file. The only schema which is present in the dump file is Scott schema. If there are multiple schemas present in the dump file, in that case, if you want to import only Scott schema, then you have to specify schemas is equal to Scott. You can specify or you cannot, I mean, like there is not mandatory that you have to specify the schemas is equal to Scott here. The reason for that is in the dump file we only have one schema, but
Okay.
it is always safer to provide the schema name what you're importing. So I'll just save the file and exit. No hub impdp path file equal to impdp underscore ampersand. So this will perform the import. Tail minus f no hub dot out. Okay. So even while performing the import, you'll have the worker process as well as master process. So ps minus f grep tm. Still it is not created. The reason for that is it's still connected to the database. It hasn't moved yet. Okay, now you'll have the master process. Okay, now we have the master process.
Okay.
Okay, the job is completed. If you see here, it failed. The reason for that is it says the schema Scott is needed to import this object. Okay, I have to go to the beginning of the file. I'll do ls minus ltr. So I have the log file here, impdp underscore scott.log. So let us open the file. In the beginning itself, it failed. The reason was profile demo is not existing. As a result, it was unable to create Scott user, and it will fail for rest of the objects because rest of the objects are present under Scott user. Okay, so if you see here, user Scott does not exist. So that's what it will error out. So I have to create profile.
So create profile profile name. I'll just do this one, that's it. I'll not give anything. Create profile. Okay. Demo limit. That's it. So it will take the default values of default profile. If you don't give anything, it will just copy the values from default profile. I guess I already told you.
Yeah.
So that's it. The profile is created. Let us go ahead and perform the import again. Okay. Okay. Now the import. It's importing. In a similar way, if you want to do a full database import, instead of specifying schemas is equal to schema name, we'll specify full equal to y. This will import the whole database. And you have to copy the full database export dump file. And then if you have only one object export in the export dump file, then you don't need to specify include is equal to that object name, because that is the only object present in the dump file and it will import that object. ఇక్కడ సోర్స్ లో నేను ఒక ప్రొసీజర్ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేశాను కదా డెమో అనేది. సో ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసేటప్పుడు యూ డోంట్ నీడ్ టు స్పెసిఫై దట్ ఇంక్లూడ్ ఈక్వల్ టు ఆబ్జెక్ట్ టైప్. జస్ట్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు స్పెసిఫై ద dump file, directory, log file, and as which user you are performing the import. That's it. It will load, it will take the object from the dump file and it will import it into the target server. So that is how you'll import a specific object. So full database schema and specific object is done. I'll show you how to import a partition. Okay, this will fail because Siva user is not existing. It has to assign the privilege to Siva, but Siva user is not existing. That is okay. And whatever I told regarding attach for the export, the same applies to import also. You can attach to the current import job using impdb space attach is equal to job name. Here on the first file length you will have the job name here, sys underscore import underscore schema underscore 01. And even the datapump job you can check it in dba datapump jobs. Probably do that finished. Yeah, it's finished. So at the end it will say the job completed with 3 errors. The 3 errors is nothing but this one. The Siva user is not existing. So that is fine. Now select username from db underscore users where username equal to Scott. Sorry. Okay, so this is Scott. Now if I want to know, after the import you have to compare both the source schema and as a target schema. You have to know like object count సరిగ్గా ఉందా లేదా అని తెలియాలి కదా. So you have to go for select object underscore type count of star from db underscore objects. Okay, so these are the objects, these are the object type. which are present under Scott, and the object type count. So let us do the same thing on the source side. If the object count matches, that means your import has been successfully done. Okay. Okay. 3117311. So the object count matches. So we are good. 3 table partitions, 3. 1 procedure, 1. Trigger 1, table 1. Everything is good. Okay. Now let us go ahead and drop one object in the Scott schema. So which object I'll drop will be function. So drop function. To drop a function, we'll use to drop a table, we'll use drop table, right? In a similar way, to drop a function also, we'll use drop function name. Function name is demo, I guess. No. Let me check it out. Okay, employer underscore details underscore func. So drop function Scott dot. Okay, now the function is dropped. Let us check it out once. In the output, you'll not have an entry with function. Okay, there is no function now. Now using the dump file which we already have, I will import only one function. So can you tell me what modification should I have to do in the par file? I have to import only one function from the existing dump file. Can you guess what should I have to do?
So include equal to, function into add the
Yeah.
that function.
Yep. Ante. Oh, I dropped it on the source side itself. పర్లేదు source లో కూడా dump file ఉంది కదా, సో అందులోనే అదే యూస్ చేస్తాను. I'll copy the par file which I used here. Okay. Just one, you have to include one option.
Yeah.
Include equal to function colon n
Okay.
function name.
So owner equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. ఓకే, ఇంకొక మోడిఫికేషన్ ఏంటంటే డైరెక్టరీ మార్చాలి ఇక్కడ, ఎందుకంటే నేను ఇది సోర్స్లో డ్రాప్ చేశాను కదా. సో
Okay. PHP DP underscore DPN. PHP DP underscore DP.
అదే ఇచ్చాను కదా. ఓ సారీ. యా.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So this will import only that function. These are will import only a specific object from the existing dump file. Okay, ekkado syntax mistake undi. Include equal to object type. Okay, ఇక్కడ వచ్చేసింది అది. మీ ల్యాప్టాప్లో ర్యామ్ ఎంత అండి?
6 GB.
6 GB. ఓకే.
Yeah.
ఆశీష్ నీది? 4 GB. ఓకే. సో ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ అయిందండి, ఫంక్షన్ క్రియేట్ అయింది, ఆల్టర్ ఫంక్షన్ సంథింగ్ ఇట్ ద ఫంక్షన్ ఇస్ క్రియేటెడ్. కంపైలేషన్ వార్నింగ్స్ ఎందుకుందంటే ఆల్రెడీ ఆ ఫంక్షన్ లో వార్నింగ్స్ ఉన్నాయి, మనం క్రియేట్ చేసినప్పుడే ఇష్యూ ఉంది అది. సో వీఆర్ గుడ్. So these are will import a specific object. Now I'll go to the dev server only. Okay, now I will drop one partition from emp underscore temp underscore partition. Okay, so drop. So to drop a partition, the command will be alter table scott dot emp underscore temp underscore partition drop partition p2. I'm dropping partition p2.
Okay.
Okay, the partition p2 is dropped. Okay, I'm under slash backup now. I'll use the expdp underscore scott.dmp. I don't need to copy the file, a dump file which has that partition, because the Scott schema itself will have the whole partition. I mean the whole schema ఉంది కదా, సో దీనిలోంచి ఒక పార్టిషన్ నేను ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ చేసి ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు.
Okay.
So the only thing I have to add here is I have to delete this one. Tables equal to owner name Scott dot table name colon p2. That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just think once what will happen. I have a table called as emp underscore temp underscore partition with two partitions. One is p1 and p2, correct? ఒకటి p1,
P2, P3.
p3 I dropped, p2 I dropped it, so just it has two partitions now, p1 and p3. On dev database, I'll have just two partitions. On the source dump file, I have three partitions, p1, p2 and p3. Now using this dump file, I want to export only, I want to import only one partition, which is P2, correct? So I prepared the par file, and if I perform the import, what will happen now? The table is already existing. emp underscore temp underscore partition is already existing on dev database. So if I import that P2 partition, will it create a P2 partition, or will it import the data into any of the existing partitions?
I think our requirement is it should create P2 also, right?
Yes, but what I'm asking is, if I'm using that par file, will it create that partition or not? సరే, మీకు తెలియదు అనుకోండి, మీరు ఏం చేయగలుగుతారు ఇప్పుడు? ఇప్పటివరకు నేను చెప్పిన క్లాస్ ప్రకారం మీరు ఏం చేసి అది చెప్పగలుగుతారు? P2 పార్టిషన్ క్రియేట్ అవుతుందా, లేదు అంటే వేరే పార్టిషన్లోకి వెళ్తుందా అని తెలియడానికి.
P2 పార్టిషన్ క్రియేట్ చేసి, ఐ మీన్ P2 పార్టిషన్ టేబుల్ క్రియేట్ చేసి కాపీ చేస్తాం. ఐ మీన్ అంటే
ఓకే, అది అది ఓకే. నేను ఇప్పటివరకు చెప్పిన దాని ప్రకారం ఏదైనా హెల్ప్ తీసుకొని, can we know what actually an import does? Whether it will create a partition P2, or whether it will import it into any of the existing partitions. SQL file option యూజ్ చేసి తెలిసిపోతుంది కదా. అంతే కదండి, మనకి ఎప్పుడు డౌట్ ఉన్నా SQL file తీసుకుంటే సరిపోతుంది. సో I will add SQL file clause, SQL file option also here. So SQL file equal to create part underscore table dot SQL. SQL file అండి. క్వెరీ అంటే సబ్సెట్ ఆఫ్ డేటాని ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేయడానికి. SQL file అంటే SQL file జనరేట్ అవుతుంది. It will not import, it will just generate an SQL file. Okay, sorry, spelling the picture. SQL underscore file. SQL file correct అయితే what it said, data cannot be filtered or selected in SQL underscore file jobs. Yeah, I cannot use SQL file option here. The reason for that is I'm just trying to import one partition. I guess so. Yeah, and then I cannot, if I'm using colon P2, I cannot create an SQL file from that. సో యాక్చువల్గా ఏమవుతుందంటే, మీరు యాక్చువల్గా ఆలోచిస్తే, I'll show you this. P1కి రూల్ ఏంటండి? ఇట్ షుడ్ హ్యావ్ ఆల్ ది ఎంప్లాయీస్ విత్ లెస్ దెన్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ నెంబర్ లెస్ దెన్ 10, కరెక్ట్? P3 should have all the departments with all the employees with department numbers less than 30, correct? ఇక్కడ కూడా అంతే, less than 10, less than 20 and less than 30. Now as the table is already existing on the target server, if you are importing partition P2, it will go into P3 because the P2 has department number 20. Department number 20 is less than 30. So as a result, it will go to partition P3. Logic kada, ante kadandi. As per the table definition, it has to go into P3. So that is the reason why, if you are trying to import a partition, you should make sure the partition is existing on the target server. Otherwise, data issues చాలా వస్తాయి ప్రొడక్షన్లో. డిఫరెంట్ పార్టిషన్లోకి వెళ్ళిపోతే అసలు చాలా ప్రాబ్లం అవుతుంది, అన్ని అప్లికేషన్స్ ఫెయిల్ అవుతాయి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇది రిపోర్టింగ్ అప్లికేషన్స్ యూజ్ చేస్తున్నాను అనుకోండి, క్రెడిట్ కార్డ్ రిపోర్టింగ్ కి. సో ఇఫ్ యూఆర్ ట్రయింగ్ టు క్లిక్ ఆన్ డిసెంబర్ స్టేట్మెంట్, ఇట్ హ్యాస్ టు గో టు స్పెసిఫిక్ పార్టిషన్ ఇన్ ద టేబుల్. ఆ డిసెంబర్ కాస్త జనవరి జనరేట్ చేస్తే తప్పే కదా.
Yeah.
సో ఆ ఇష్యూస్ వస్తాయి. సో you need to make sure the partition is existing on the target server. So now as the partition is not existing on the target server, we have to go ahead and add a partition to the table. So I'll show you how to add a partition. Alter table emp underscore temp underscore partition, add partition p2 values less than 10. These will add a partition.
Less than 20.
Yeah, sorry, less than 20. Yeah.
బట్ విచ్ వాల్యూ కూడా ఏ వాల్యూ కూడా ఇవ్వాలి కదండి అవసరం.
ఏ వాల్యూ ఏంటండి?
అంటే ఏ వాల్యూ 20 కన్నా తక్కువ ఉంటుంది.
అది టేబుల్ డెఫినేషన్ లో ఆల్రెడీ ఉంది కదా. వీఆర్ పార్టిషనింగ్ ఇట్ బై డిపార్ట్మెంట్ నెంబర్.
ఓకే.
Okay, so actually this is the command to add a partition, but the problem here is you cannot add a partition p2 with values less than 20. The reason for that is there is already a partition p3 with values less than 30. As a result, if you are adding a partition with a value less than the higher bound, then it will error out saying partition bound must collate higher than that of last partition. ఇదే పార్టిషన్ కనుక నేను p2 బదులు p4 చేస్తున్నాను దీన్ని. I'm adding a partition called as p4 with values less than 40. Instead of 20, I'm giving it as 40. Even this will fail. The reason for that is it will think that in partition p3 there are values with department number 20 which will satisfy the less than 20, right? ఇక్కడ పార్టిషన్ p3 ఉంది కదండి. ఈ పార్టిషన్ p3లో it will think there are already existing records with values 20 also. టేబుల్ డెఫినేషన్ ప్రకారం 20 డిపార్ట్మెంట్ నెంబర్ కూడా ఉండొచ్చు p3లో. సో అందుకని ఆ p2ని యాడ్ చేయనివ్వదు 20 ఉన్నప్పుడు, వాల్యూస్ 20 ఉన్నప్పుడు. కానీ ఇక్కడ 40ని యాడ్ చేయనివ్వాలి. హ్యావ్ టు చెక్. ఒకసారి టేబుల్ డెఫినేషన్ చూద్దాం. I don't remember exactly what I specified there. Okay. Cost 664. 40,000. Okay, there is no need of providing table partition or something like that. Just we have to go for table, that's it. Okay. And we have to specify the username also. The owner, I forgot to mention the owner name. Every time you use dbms and metadata, you have to specify object type, object name, and then owner. Okay, here I specified less than 40. That is the reason why it errored out. So 50 ఇస్తే పని చేస్తుందండి. So let us go ahead and give it as 50. ఇక్కడ 40 ఉందన్నమాట, values less than 40. So you can go for higher, greater than higher bound, but you cannot go for less than higher bound. So in order to add a partition P2 with values less than 20, you have to split a partition. So ఈరోజు ఇంకో two topics తెలుస్తున్నాయి. One is how to add a partition. The other one is how to split a partition. So we have to split the existing partition P3 into two partitions. One is P2 and P3 in such a way that P2 partition should be less than 20 and P3 partition should be less than 40. So how to split a partition table? So let me show you that. 1 second. Okay, alter table name, split partition P3 at 40 into partition P2 sorry, I have to give it as at 20 దగ్గర స్ప్లిట్ అవ్వాలి కదా, 40 అని ఇచ్చాను తప్పు. At 20 into partition P2 comma P4. ఒకసారి చూస్తున్నానండి. Okay, so alter table name, split partition P3 at 20 into partition P2 comma P4. Cannot split along the specified high bound.
P4 కూడా ఇవ్వాలండి, అక్కడ పార్టీషన్ P4 అని ఇవ్వాలా?
ఓ నేను కాదు, P4 అని ఇస్తున్నాను అక్కడ, యాక్చువల్గా P3 కదా. P4 కాదు, P3ని కదా మనం స్ప్లిట్ చేస్తుంది. Yeah, now it should be good. Cannot split along the specified high bound. 20.
పార్టీషన్ ఓకే.
Yeah. So okay, ఇలా స్ప్లిట్ చేస్తాం partition. Alter table name, split partition P3 at value into partition P2 and P3. Now I have the partition P3. I can go ahead and import the file using that par file. 1 second. Okay, exit. I have the par file here. Let me cat it again. Okay, so these are I have to remove the SQL file now. Okay, so Okay, by using tables equal to owner name dot table name colon partition name. Let us start the import. Okay, so this will import that specific partition. So ఇది ఒక్కటి గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి, every time you are trying to import a partition you need to make sure the partition is existing. Next, here it will failed. Actually the import job is failed here. If you look at the error, it says the table is already existing. So as a result it will skip. So if the table is already existing, it will skip. So the default action is skip. Now, but what we want to do, if the table is already existing, we want to append the data, correct?
Yeah.
So there is an option while performing an import, there is a new option called as table underscore exists underscore action equal to. So this option can take 4 values. One is append, second is truncate, third is replace, fourth is skip. Okay, these are the options, these are the values this option can take. Table exists action. Skip means it will not do anything. Replace means it will drop the existing object, it will recreate the new object, and it will import the entire data. But here we are specifying only one partition, right? So it will create the table and it will import the data from that partition. So you cannot use replace actually here because we are only importing one partition. If you are importing the whole table itself, then you can go for replace. It will drop the existing table and it will create a new table again from the source dump file. Okay. Skip means it will just skip. Replace means it will drop the existing object and it will recreate new. Truncate means it will truncate the data from the existing table and it will re-import the data.
Okay.
Append means it will just append. So now our action should be append. Save and exit. This time it will import the partition. ఇక్కడ చూడండి, ఇప్పుడు table is already existing, data will be appended to the existing table.
Okay.
In the previous case it was skipped, but here it is appended. So only partition P3 with 6 lakh rows. So we are good. Okay, these are we can import a specific partition.
Okay.
Next thing, we already know the source dump file has a schema Scott, correct? Now we can import the source even though the dump file is related to Scott schema. We can import, while performing import, we can map it into a different schema. So if you want, for example, the source ఏమో Scott ఉంది, నేను దాన్ని మోహన్ అనే స్కీమాలోకి ఇంపోర్ట్ చేయాలనుకోండి. So I can remap the Scott to Mohan. So I'll show you how to do that. I'll remove the table exists action and tables part. I have to specify remap underscore schema equal to Scott colon Mohan. It will remap Scott to Mohan. It will create Mohan user. Okay, looks like Mohan is already existing, so it just skipped it. User లేకపోతే యూజర్ క్రియేట్ చేసేది అది, కానీ ఇక్కడ మోహన్ ఉంది కాబట్టి ఆల్రెడీ ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్ అని చెప్తుంది అంతే. ఓ యాక్చువల్లీ ఇట్ హ్యాస్ సమ్ టేబుల్స్. I'll do one thing. I'll kill this process, I'll drop the Mohan user and I'll import it again. మేబీ ప్రీవియస్ బ్యాచ్కి చెప్పినప్పుడు ఇదే యూస్ చేస్తాను అనుకుంటా, అది మళ్ళీ మోహనే యూస్ చేస్తాను.
cascade. టూ సర్వర్స్ ఆన్ చేస్తే స్లో అయిపోతుంది, అది ప్రాబ్లం.
Yeah. చాలా టైం పడుతుంది.
ఇంకొక 3 ఆప్షన్స్ ఉన్నాయి అంతే, ఆ 3 ఆప్షన్స్ చెప్తే అయిపోతుంది ఎంపీ.
ఓకే.
Okay, it's dropped. I'll perform the input again. So it will create Mohan user also. It will create a Mohan user similar to Scott. It will assign whatever the roles the Scott user has, and then it will copy all the tables. So these are we can perform a remap. In a similar way, like the way the remap underscore schema works. For example, if you have the source schema Scott in the dump file, and you know that the objects of Scott user is present in tablespace users. Now on the target side there is a user called as Scott already, and the default tablespace for that Scott user is users1. In this case, if you want the objects from users tablespace to users1 on the target side, you can use remap underscore tablespace. Remap underscore tablespace equal to users colon users1. The same dump file though, instead of using remap underscore schema, we'll use remap underscore tablespace. Schema is equal to Scott.
Okay.
So whatever the objects present under Scott in tablespace users on the source side, it will remap that into tablespace users1.
Okay.
As Scott is already existing on the target, it will not try to create the Scott user. As a result, it will go into the users1 tablespace, because on the target side, the quota is assigned on users1 tablespace to Scott user. Okay, this is how we will use remap underscore tablespace to remap the content from one tablespace to another tablespace. Even though you take the schema export, within that schema export, you can remap the objects from one tablespace to another tablespace. చూపివాలా అండి లేకపోతే ఓకేనా?
ఓకే అండి. సేమ్ ఆప్షన్ చేంజ్ చేయండి.
యా అంతే ఆప్షన్ చేయండి. యా నెక్స్ట్ ఒకటి రీమ్యాప్ అండర్స్కోర్ టేబుల్ చూపిస్తాను, అది ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఓకే, I'll drop table. No drop, not required. Okay, yeah. So in this dump file, I know there is a table called as EMP. Now, while performing the import, I want to copy that EMP as different table name. So I want to copy that as EMP underscore Mohan. So we can also remap the table. So let me show you that. So within the dump file, we'll remove this remap underscore schema, and then we'll specify remap underscore table equal to Scott.emp colon emp underscore Mohan. So it will remap emp table to Mohan. But if you just do remap underscore table, only for one table it will remap, and it will try to import rest of the objects. So if you don't want the import to perform the import of rest of the objects, we have to go for include equal to
table colon in EMP. And also you have to specify schema is equal to Scott because you are using include. Okay, these will perform the remap.
Okay.
Okay, it's done. So it remapped the EMP table to EMP underscore Mohan. So ఈ టేబుల్ ఒకటి ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసినప్పుడు it will also import the dependent objects on this table. So it will import indexes, it will import triggers also. So if you see here, indexes కూడా వస్తాయి ఎందుకంటే table తో పాటు కాబట్టి, and trigger also will create a trigger on a table. So it even that will be imported. So if you export one table, only one table, even though you are exporting only one table, it will export all the dependent objects present on the table, like triggers, just the triggers, indexes. Only trigger indexes మాత్రమే వస్తాయి ఎందుకంటే index you will create on a table and trigger you will create on a table. ఓకేనండి. The next thing I'll show you is ఇప్పటివరకు మనం చేసిందంతా వాయిస్ అని బ్రేక్ అవుతుందన్న అది. హలో,
హలో,
నా వాయిస్ బ్రేక్ అవుతుందండి.
బ్రేక్ అవుతుంది మధ్య మధ్యలో వింటారు.
ఓ చాలాసేపు నుంచా ఇప్పుడేనా? ఓ 1 సెకండ్, నేను వైడ్ నెట్వర్క్ కి కనెక్ట్ అవుతాను. ఒక 10-15 minutes క్లాస్ అంతే ఇంకా. Yeah. So the last option with the import is network underscore link. So till now, to perform export and import, what we did, we took an export from the source database, we copied the dump files into the target server, and using the dump file, we imported, right? So using datapump, you don't require to create the dump file. You don't need to transfer the files from source to target. Using network underscore link, you can directly perform an import by connecting it to the source and it will copy it into the target server. So I'll show you that. So architecture ఏంటంటే అది మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి గీస్తాను. This is source. హలో,
స్క్రీన్ ఏం కనిపించలేదండి మీరు
కనిపించట్లేదా?
నోట్ ప్యాడ్ పెట్టారా?
యా, నోట్ ప్యాడ్ పెట్టాను.
నోట్ ప్యాడ్ కనిపించలేదండి.
ఇప్పుడు
లేదు, సర్వరే కనిపిస్తుంది.
ఇన్ కేస్ కనిపిస్తే చెప్పండి.
ఇప్పుడు కనిపిస్తుంది.
ఓకే, so there are two databases, one is source and target. Now if I want to copy Scott schema from source to target, till now I used to take an export on the source, I used to copy the files under the target, and then I used to perform the import, correct? EXPDP, I'll do it here, and then I'll do the SCP, and then I'll do the IMPDP on the target. Instead of that, instead of taking an export and instead of copying the files, we can just perform an import on the target server while connecting to the source and copying the files from source to the target directly using IMPDP itself. So dump files, it will not create dump files. It will just connect to the source server. It will copy the content across the DB link, and it will import it into the target server. So in order to use that, we have to first we have to create a database link. We have to create a DB link on the target server. So our target server is dev. So let us go ahead and create a DB link pointing to the source server. So first, in order to create the DB link and in order to connect to the source server, we need to make sure the listener is up and running on the source server. If the listener is not up and running, we cannot connect to the source. Correct or not?
Yeah.
So first, make sure on the source side the listener is up and running. So okay, 1 second. This is all because I use the logical name. So etc host is pointing to a different IP address. /etc/hosts. ఇది 170కి ఉంది. for test.4techbist అనేది. Maybe the actual IP address is different. Okay, it's 126. So let me change that to 126. మీకు కూడా ఇష్యూ రావచ్చండి. So you have to edit the host file. I don't know whether you practice the listener or not, but usually you'll have the issues.
సో ప్రాక్టీస్ చేశాను, బట్ కనెక్ట్ అవుతుందండి. SQL ఉంది కదా.
ప్రాబ్లం మీరు సర్వర్ మీరు VMware సర్వర్ ని రీబూట్ చేయలేదు అనుకుంటా. రీబూట్ చేస్తే మీ దాంట్లో ఒకటే సర్వర్ ఉంది కదా, సో ఇష్యూ రాదులేండి. ఒకటే సర్వర్ అంటే మోస్ట్లీ సేమ్ IP అడ్రస్ అలొకేట్ అవుతుంది.
ఓకే.
2-3 సర్వర్స్ ఉంటే ఇష్యూ వస్తుంది.
ఓకే.
126. Get done. Okay. I have to kill this listener. 0594. Start the listener again. Okay, let us make sure it is supporting the service. Okay, it is supporting the service now, so we are good. We need to add the corresponding TNS entry on the source server. First we have to add the corresponding TNS entry of the source server on the target, because we are creating a DB link on the target server, right? I am creating the DB link on dev database, so I have to add the TNS entry on the dev server. Oracle home, network admin, vs TNS names .aura. Okay, I'll change this to test. Host is 126 and the port on which the listener is running is 1524. So I have to change that also. So 1524. అసలు యాక్చువల్గా తప్పు ఇక్కడ. it is supporting demo. Okay, now it is supporting test, so we're good. So I have to give service as test. Okay. Now as I added the TNS entry, I have to check the TNS entry whether it's working or not. Okay, it's working. I have to connect to the database. I'll connect to Mohan user. Okay, I'm connecting to Mohan user now. Mohan slash the password would have been Oracle only. No, Mohan slash Mohan. Let me change the password. Okay, to change the password, alter user Mohan identified by Mohan slash tf slash tif. Okay, connect Mohan slash Mohan. Okay, now I connected to Mohan user. I'm creating a DB link. Create database link test connect to Scott identified by Tiger using test. These are will create the DB link if you remember.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the DB link is created. I'll exit from exvdp. So my task is under Mohan, I want to create a table copying from Scott user of టెస్ట్ అనే డేటాబేస్ లో స్కాట్ యూజర్ లో ఈఎంపీ టేబుల్ ఉంది. దాన్ని మోహన్ లోకి కాపీ చేస్తున్నాను నేను. అది ఐ రీమ్యాప్ ఇట్ టు ఈఎంపీ అండర్ స్కోర్ టెంప్.
ఓకే.
సో సి హౌ డు ఐ డు హౌ విల్ ఐ డూ దట్ స్లాష్ బ్యాకప్. ఇదే లాస్ట్ ఆప్షన్. First thing is I have to remap the schema because the source is Scott, the target is Mohan. Second thing is I have to remap the table too because I want to copy EMP as EMP underscore.
Mohan.
I'll make it as EMP underscore 1. Okay. Yeah, I have to use include also because I just want to copy EMP table.
Okay.
Next, I'll remove this remap underscore table. There is no need for dump file unlock. Okay, there is no need for dump file because while copying it across the DB link, it will not create any dump file. Next, network underscore link equal to, I have to specify the database link name. I gave it as test, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so network underscore link is equal to DB link name. That's it. You don't need to specify anything else. Save and exit. IMPDP. Okay, let me cat the file again. I haven't specified any dump file. I just specified include equal to table column and then remap schema, remap table.
Okay.
Okay. Here I cannot perform the import as sysdba here. The reason is the DB link is present under Mohan user, right?
Yeah.
So I cannot do it as slash sysdba. So let me do it as Mohan user only.
Okay.
Okay. Privileges are required. Cannot link privileged user to non-privileged user. Connecting to Scott. Getting the EMP table. Performing the import. Okay, 1 second. First thing is we made a mistake here. It should be scott.emp. Okay, 1 second. First thing is we made a mistake here. It should be scott.emp. Okay, 1 second. First thing is we made a mistake here. It should be scott.emp. Okay, 1 second. First thing is we made a mistake here. It should be scott.emp. Okay, 1 second. scott.emp colon emp underscore 1. Let us try the input again. Every time you give remap underscore table, it should be owner name dot table name colon target table name. ఓకే, అది ఇష్యూ కాదు. ఇక్కడ చూద్దాం ఇదేంటో. ప్రివిలేజెస్ ఆర్ రిక్వైర్డ్, కెనాట్ లింక్ ప్రివిలేజ్ యూజర్ టు నాన్ ప్రివిలేజ్ యూజర్. లెట్ మీ కనెక్ట్ టు, ఓకే, yeah, I got the reason why it is not allowing. So if you see here, select granted underscore role from dba role prefs where grantee equal to Mohan. Can you guess what roles it has? Whether it will have DBA role or not? Because we remapped Scott to Mohan, and Scott export was done yesterday, right? Yesterday Scott has a DBA role. As a result, it has a DBA role now. So that is the reason why it says cannot link privileged user to non-privileged user. Here the privileged user is Mohan. It is connecting from Mohan to Scott, which is non-privileged because Scott doesn't have the DBA privilege, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Just we'll assign the DBA privilege also. Just for now. Okay, done. Let us try the input again. Done. Okay. Remember when we remapped Mohan, there is no emp underscore 1 table, so it will be created now. And it will not create dump file. This is one of the main advantage of database, I mean like data pump. If you don't have space in the mount point, so you can just using the db link, you can copy it from the source and you can import it into the target server. స్పేస్ అవసరం లేదు కదా, డంప్ ఫైల్ క్రియేట్ చేయట్లేదు కాబట్టి. కాకపోతే ఇట్ విల్ బి a little bit slower. Select star from mohan dot emp underscore 1. Sorry. Slash star. Describe mohan dot emp underscore 1. Okay. So emp underscore 1 is copied from source to the target. Probably, let us check once. Maybe emp table lo కానీ ఉంది యాక్చువల్గా. ఒక సెకండ్ ఇన్సర్ట్ చేస్తున్నాను.
మేబీ అపెండ్ అది ఏమైనా ఇవ్వాలండి. అపెండ్
టేబుల్ ఎగ్జిస్ట్ లేదు కదండి, టేబుల్ కొత్తది కదా క్రియేట్ అయింది ఎంప్ అండర్స్కోర్ 1. యాక్చువల్లీ ఇక్కడ మోహన్ డాట్ ఈఎంపీ ఉంటుంది. సో ఓకే, 1 second. యా, 1 second, నేను ఇది ఇంక్లూడ్ తీసేస్తున్నాను. remap underscore schema, remap underscore table, network link, same. I'll drop emp underscore 1 table also.
డ్రాప్ టేబుల్ mohan dot emp underscore 1 purge. టేబుల్ డ్రాప్ చేశాను. చూద్దాం ఇప్పుడు. టోటల్ స్కీమా ఇంపోర్ట్ అవుతుంది ఇప్పుడు. రీమ్యాప్ అండర్ స్కోర్ స్కీమా అని ఒకటే ఇచ్చాను కదా, సో ఇట్ విల్ రీమ్యాప్ ది ఎంటర్ స్కీమ్. విల్ సీ వాట్ హ్యాపన్స్. I'll just kill it. I don't want to do it. Let me include include option. Instead of include, I'll specify as tables equal to score dot emp. యా, ఇప్పుడు చూద్దాం ఒకసారి. జాబ్ నేను చూసి చెప్పేయచ్చు అది స్కీమ్ అన్న టేబుల్ అని. ఓకే, యా. ఒకటి ఏంటంటే ఇప్పుడు రీమ్యాప్ అవ్వలేదండి. ఈఎంపీని ఈఎంపీ అండర్ స్కోర్ 1కి చేయట్లేదు అది. ఇట్ సేస్ టేబుల్ ఈజ్ ఆల్రెడీ ఎగ్జిస్టింగ్. సో వీ హ్యావ్ టు సీ వై రీమ్యాప్ ఈజ్ నాట్ వర్కింగ్. సో వెన్ ఎవర్ we are using tables clause, this will be higher precedence. As a result, it will not do the remap underscore table. ఎప్పుడు టేబుల్స్ రీమ్యాప్ అండర్ స్కోర్ టేబుల్ని వాడలేం. సో లెట్ మీ డిలీట్ దిస్ వన్. లేదు, కరెక్టే. రీమ్యాప్ అండర్ స్కోర్ స్కీమా, రీమ్యాప్ అండర్ స్కోర్ టేబుల్. సెకండ్. ఓకే, table exists action equal to open. బట్ కాన్సెప్ట్ అయితే అర్థమైంది కదా. యూజింగ్ నెట్వర్క్ లింక్ వితౌట్ క్రియేటింగ్ డంప్ ఫైల్ ఇట్ విల్ కాపీ ద ఫైల్స్. కానీ ఇది ఇష్యూ ఎందుకోసమో చూడాలి. It's not performing the remap. Table include యాక్చువల్గా టేబుల్స్ అది తీసుకోవట్లేదు. include equal to ఓ యా, ఓకే, ఇది కరెక్టే. include equal to table column in emp remap underscore schema mohan
రీమ్యాప్ అండర్ స్కోర్ టేబుల్లో మోహన్ డాట్ ఎంపీ అండర్ స్కోర్ 1 ఏమన్నా కదా?
లేదండి, ఇలాగే ఇవ్వాలి. సోర్స్ అంటే సోర్స్ స్కీమా నేమ్ డాట్ టేబుల్ నేమ్ కాలన్ ఆ టేబుల్ నేమ్. అందుకనే రీమ్యాప్ అండర్ స్కోర్ స్కీమా ఇచ్చా ఇక్కడ.
ఓకే ఓకే.